Caroline wasn't looking for trouble, just her couch, some water, and maybe a protein bar. The city had already gone quiet. Streetlights blinked against the mist like tired eyes. Gaga's voice echoed in her ears, part anthem, part armor. Then, headlights. 3 motorcycles cut through the fog and rolled to a stop in front of her, engines snarling like wolves. The riders didn't say anything at first. They just sat there, watching. One of them lit a cigarette. The flame briefly lit his face, scar across his cheek, lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. She paused, one foot slightly back, calculating. "Lost, sweetheart?" the scarred one asked, voice rough from smoke and ego. Caroline slid one earbud out. Her heartbeat slowed. That was always the first sign. Her body, long trained for chaos, was listening more than she was. Reading posture, angles, weaknesses. Breathing in the danger. "You should move," she said simply. The youngest of them, barely older than a teenager, cocky from the presence of the pack, swung off his bike. "Or what?" he said, stepping too close. "You gonna throw your little purse at me?" Caroline sighed. That was the last thing he remembered clearly. One blink, and his knees hit the pavement. A sharp twist, a precise elbow, and he was out cold. The street fell silent again. 2 bikers remained. Their engines hummed. Caroline stared at them, calm, unmoved, the white of her dress almost glowing in the streetlight. She didn't flinch. She was waiting. The music in her earbuds cut off. Caroline hadn't even noticed when, maybe her phone had hit the ground, maybe the signal died. Either way, the beat was gone. Now there was only silence. The larger biker dismounted. He moved with the weight of someone used to being feared, confident, but not stupid. He pulled a bat from a holster on the side of his bike. It gleamed under the street lamp, dented from use. "You're insane," he muttered, half to himself. "Just chill out, and no one gets hurt." Caroline didn't blink. "For who?" she asked. She stepped forward. He swung the bat, hard. But she was already inside his guard, low and fast. Her hand wrapped around his wrist, twisted. The bat clattered against the pavement with a heavy clang. He shouted, his shoulder yanked out of socket in one clean motion. His other hand reached for the knife on his belt. Too late. Her knee landed sharp, groin, then knee, then a spinning elbow across the temple. He went down hard, breath knocked out of him before he could even scream. Only one biker remained. The last man hadn't moved. His engine still rumbled, but he sat still, watching. Helmeted. Silent. The hum of the motor filled the street like a second heartbeat. Then, slowly, mockingly, he clapped. "That was beautiful," he said. His voice came muffled through the helmet, deep and amused. "I was wondering if you'd hold your own." He killed the engine and dismounted. Caroline didn't move. Then he took off the helmet. And she froze. She knew that face. He shook out his hair, shorter now, a scar running across his eyebrow she didn't remember. But the eyes? Same. Cold. Calculating. And once, years ago, kind. "Ethan," she said. The name tasted strange in her mouth. Like speaking to someone at their own funeral. "Hey, Care," he replied, as if they were running into each other at a coffee shop and not standing over 2 unconscious bodies. "It's been a while." Her fists stayed clenched. Muscles coiled, breath steady. But something under her ribs twisted. She had buried this part of her life. Deep. "What are you doing here?" He smirked. "Looking for you, actually." "I'm not the girl you knew," she said sharply. "Good," Ethan said. "Because the girl I knew ran." She took a step closer. "And the boy I knew betrayed everyone." He didn't flinch. "I didn't come here to fight." "Then maybe you should have told your boys not to corner me in an alley." They weren't my boys, he said. They were a test. Caroline's jaw tightened. Every instinct screamed to act, now. Before he got into her head. Before old wounds reopened. Before. You're being hunted, Caroline, Ethan said. That stopped her cold. He looked at the bodies around them. And these guys? Just the first wave. The silence that followed was thick enough to drown in. Caroline stood in the middle of the street, breath steady but shallow, heart hammering behind her ribs like a warning drum. The last biker, still straddling his bike, sat unmoving. The streetlights flickered above, painting him in pulses of gold and shadow. Then, slowly, almost theatrically, he killed the engine. And clapped. Once. Twice. 3 slow, sarcastic claps. That was beautiful, the man said, voice muffled behind the helmet. Calm. Too calm. I was wondering if you'd still have it. Her muscles tensed again. Take off the helmet. He did. And time stopped. The world didn't make sense for a moment. Her body still held the rhythm of combat, but her brain had slammed to a full stop. The face beneath the helmet didn't belong in this world anymore. Not her world. Shorter hair. A new scar across his eyebrow. But the same eyes, sharp, steady, unreadable. Ethan. She hadn't spoken his name aloud in years. Hello, Care, he said like it was nothing. Like he hadn't shattered her life. She blinked once. You're supposed to be dead. He grinned. So are you. She didn't move. She didn't lower her stance. But inside? Everything screamed. They had trained together. Bled together. Survived tests that broke others. He'd been her shadow, her partner, her only real connection during those years in the program. And then one night, gone. No warning. No mission debrief. Just blood on the walls, and his file marked terminated. Why are you here? She asked. Ethan stepped off the bike, slow and easy. No aggression, just watching her. I've been tracking you. 4 months. She gave a hollow laugh. Stalking me, you mean? You're not exactly subtle, he said. You left 3 bodies in Moscow and a crater in Istanbul. People noticed. I've been surviving. You've been running. His words hit her like punches. Because deep down, he wasn't wrong. But she wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. I'm not the girl you knew, she said, voice tight. And you stopped having the right to talk to me when you disappeared. He nodded, slowly. I didn't vanish, Caroline. I was taken. That stopped her cold. What? Ethan looked around the empty street, then back at her. You don't know, do you? Valen's still alive. Her mouth went dry. You're lying. I wish I was, he said. But he's alive. And he's back in control. And this? He motioned to the bikers on the ground. This was just a message. 1,000 buried memories screamed in the back of her skull. Training rooms. Locked doors. Screams through walls. Valen watching from behind one-way glass. No, she whispered. Yes, Ethan said. And he's not looking for just anyone. She stepped forward. What does he want? You, Ethan said. Not because you left. Not because you survived. He paused. But because you stole something from him. And he wants it back. Caroline's voice dropped. What did I steal? Ethan looked her dead in the eyes. You don't remember? She didn't answer. Because suddenly, she wasn't sure she wanted to. The name hung in the air like smoke. Valen. Caroline felt her pulse spike, like someone had grabbed her heart and twisted. She hadn't heard that name in years. Not since she walked away from the program. From them. From everything. Marcus watched her reaction with too much satisfaction. I see you remember him, he said. Good. That'll save us some time. She took a slow breath. Valen's dead. Marcus gave a small, bitter laugh. You really think people like him die that easy? She didn't answer. Because she didn't believe it. Not fully. Not ever. Valen was the ghost they all trained under. The man with no past, no fingerprints, no mercy. A myth wrapped in a monster. And if Marcus was saying he was alive? No. No, she wouldn't go back there. Couldn't. Caroline turned on her heel. I'm done. I'm not part of that world anymore. You were never out of it, Marcus called after her. You think just disappearing erases you? That white dress doesn't make you clean. She stopped. Her grip on the gym bag tightened. He kept going. Valen's not looking for you. He's looking for what you stole. Her shoulders stiffened. He stepped closer. And he's sending people, Caroline. Trained ones. Not street trash like these guys. When they come. I'll be ready, she snapped, finally turning. Like I always am. Marcus nodded slowly, like he expected that answer. Then he reached into his jacket and tossed something to her. She caught it by instinct. A keycard. Black. Unmarked. Storage facility. Dock 39. If you change your mind. He walked past her, casually stepping over one of the men she'd knocked out. Care, he said over his shoulder, if you're smart, you'll go there. Because what you took. It's waking up. And then he was gone. The street was empty again. Except now, Caroline wasn't just a girl in a dress. She was a fuse, already burning. Caroline stared at him. That name still echoing in her head. Valen. The word was a wound, old, healed over, but now ripped wide open. She didn't respond right away. Her body was still in fight mode, but something deeper had cracked. Valen wasn't just a shadow in her past. He was the shadow. The architect of her worst years. The one who turned potential into pain. Purpose into poison. And Ethan just stood there like he'd told her the weather. You're lying, she said finally, but the words didn't even sound like her own. He's dead. He has to be. Ethan tilted his head slightly. Is that what they told you when you ran? I didn't run, she snapped. He didn't push back. Just looked at her like someone staring at a house that's already burning, no need to add more fuel. Caroline took a step back. You expect me to believe he's out there, just waiting? Ethan shook his head. Not waiting. Planning. Moving. Watching. Then why now? Why come after me after all these years? He looked at her, expression unreadable. Because you're still connected to it. To what? Ethan hesitated, for the first time, visibly unsure. Project Echo. She flinched like the words had slapped her. Echo. She hadn't heard the code name in years. Not since she broke out. Not since they'd told her the lab burned, the data destroyed, the whole thing buried. You're lying, she repeated, but quieter this time. I wish I was, Ethan said. They never shut it down. They just moved it. Changed the name. Upgraded the methods. And they kept one thing the same. She didn't breathe. Me. You were the only one who ever stabilized. The only one who didn't burn out. Valen made you the blueprint. The world tilted slightly. I never agreed to that. You think anyone did? He said, suddenly angry. We were kids, Caroline. They made us weapons before we knew what we were even fighting for. She looked away. The air felt thinner now. You remember what they called us in the files? Ethan asked. Assets. Not even people. She nodded, bitter. I remember. A long silence settled between them, but not peace. It was the kind of silence before an earthquake. The pressure building, waiting for something to break. And then he said it. "Valen's not the only one coming." She looked up. "There's someone else. A ghost even the program couldn't kill." Caroline narrowed her eyes. "Who?" Ethan stepped closer. Voice barely above a whisper now. "Six." She froze. "Six is dead. That's what we were told." "You saw the footage. The fire. The breach." "I saw what they showed us," Ethan said. "But I've seen footage since. Underground chatter. Patterns. Hits that don't make sense." She stepped back, suddenly cold all over. "You're telling me Six is alive?" Ethan nodded once. "And if that's true, we're both already on the list." The keycard sat in her hand like it weighed 100 pounds. Caroline stared at it the entire train ride across the city, her reflection in the window fractured by passing lights. She hadn't been back to that part of town in years. Not since. She shoved the memory down. Buried it like the rest. Dock 39 was quiet when she arrived. Abandoned warehouses lined the pier, rusted fences and forgotten boats creaking in the night breeze. The smell of oil, salt, and decay clung to everything. She found the storage facility, cold steel walls, a blinking keypad on the door. When she slid the keycard through, the lock clicked open with a sound that echoed way too loud in the stillness. The door groaned as it opened. Inside was darkness. And dust. And something else, that hum you can feel in your chest before you hear it. She stepped inside. Rows of crates, metal shelves, covered objects. The light flickered on after a few seconds, motion censored, revealing shadows that didn't quite behave the way shadows should. Then she saw it. A black case. Slim. Sealed. Her initials etched into the corner, CR. She hadn't seen it since the night she vanished from the program. She approached slowly. Opened the latches. Inside, a compact tactical kit. Sleek, custom. Clothes. Weapons. A data drive. And one last thing. A note. Handwritten. "If you're reading this, it's already started." She didn't hear the footsteps until it was almost too late. 3 figures. Fast. Silent. Trained. Not like the bikers. These were hers, from back in the day. Same techniques. Same precision. Only now, they weren't allies. She flipped the case lid up just in time to block the first strike, a blade meant for her throat. And just like that, Caroline came back to life. Caroline moved on instinct. The kind that was burned into her nerves long ago, back when pain was a lesson and survival a curriculum. The first attacker came in low, sweeping for her legs. She jumped, spun midair, landed behind him and drove an elbow into his spine. He crumpled. But there were 2 more. The second was faster, female, compact, precise. Caroline caught a glimpse of her eyes, no rage, no doubt. Just mission. Pure program. The punch that came next nearly shattered her jaw. Caroline hit the floor hard, rolled, grabbed the baton from her case and came up swinging. The second attacker parried, kicked, drove her backward. The third circled, silent, waiting for his shot. They were working together. Efficient. Surgical. Like she used to. Caroline blocked one strike, slipped under another, and landed a solid hit, ribs. The woman grunted but stayed upright. "You're out of practice," she hissed. Caroline wiped blood from her mouth. "And you talk too much." Then the third one charged. He was brutal, heavier, slower, but deadly. His strikes shook the shelves around them. Caroline ducked, dodged, used his momentum to throw him into the steel wall. She didn't have time to celebrate. The woman was already moving, knife out, slicing toward her side. Caroline caught her wrist, twisted, head-butted her, then swept her legs. The woman hit the ground and didn't get up. Just her and the brute now. She raised her baton. He raised a blade. They charged. She slid under the blade and drove the baton straight into his throat. Silence. Just like that. He hit the ground, gasping, unconscious. Caroline staggered back, chest heaving. Blood in her mouth. Her arm screamed from a blocked hit. But she was standing. She looked at the three of them. They weren't random. They weren't thieves. They were sent for one reason. To bring her back, or kill her. And if Valen was sending in program assets, then things were way worse than she thought. Her eyes flicked to the drive in the case. The one with the last file she stole. The one she'd never dared open. Until now. She slid it into the port on her burner tablet. The screen lit up, the screen glowed cold and blue in the darkness, the words sharp enough to cut. Subject number 5, Caroline Reyes, active. She stared. Breath shallow. The room around her felt suddenly too small. She had been a number. Not a person. Not a trainee. Not even a soldier. A test. Her fingers flew across the screen, navigating through encrypted folders, each one opening a deeper level of the rabbit hole she thought she buried. Files filled with medical data, psychological breakdowns, surveillance footage, even a chart titled Progression Timeline, Genetic Modifiers. She stopped. Her eyes scanned the page. Words jumped out, burned into her brain. Enhanced neuromuscular response. Adrenal override sequence. Subject stable under combat conditions. Memory suppression protocol, unreliable. Her blood turned to ice. They hadn't just trained her. They had altered her. No wonder she never got tired the way others did. Why pain felt distant, like background noise. Why her reflexes were always just a little too fast, even for the best. She wasn't born dangerous. They made her that way. Behind her, one of the attackers groaned. Caroline turned, eyes hard. She walked over and yanked the woman up by the collar. "Who sent you?" she asked, low and sharp. The woman coughed, blood on her lips. "You already know." "Valen?" The woman smiled faintly. "Not just him. You really think he's in charge now?" Caroline froze. "Who is?" The woman leaned close, whispered one word before passing out. 6. Caroline let her drop. 6. The only subject before her who'd ever completed full integration. The one they said went rogue. Dead, supposedly. A ghost story. If 6 was alive, and calling shots, everything changed. She packed the drive, sealed the case, and stood. No more running. No more pretending. Valen. 6. The program. They wanted her? They were about to find out what Subject 5 could really do. She didn't go home. She went underground. Old contacts. Dead drops. Hidden comms. The kind of network you only build when you expect your past to hunt you down. She used to be the ghost, now she had to become the storm. The message she sent was short. 2M. Subject, Echo. I'm in. It didn't take long. At 3:17, the meeting point lit up on her burner, an old metro tunnel, decommissioned since the flood. She arrived before sunrise. Cold air. Damp concrete. Silence, except for the occasional drip of water echoing through the dark. And then, footsteps. She turned, heart steady. Marcus appeared, hands up, unarmed. Didn't think you'd come. I didn't come for you, she said. I came for answers. He tossed her a comms device. Then you'll want to hear this. The voice crackled to life, filtered, distorted. Subject 5. Welcome back. Caroline didn't speak. You've seen the files. You know what you are. Say it, she replied, jaw tight. A pause. You are the final key. The only stable prototype. The others were drafts. Echo is your legacy. And 6, she asked. Another pause. Longer. He's not what he used to be. Before she could answer, gunfire erupted. The tunnel lit up with muzzle flashes. Drones. Tactical squads. Valen's people. Move! Marcus yelled, pulling her behind cover. Caroline rolled, drew twin pistols from the case, and returned fire. She was done hiding. One drone flew overhead. She launched herself upward, caught the undercarriage, ripped it down, and used it to block a full auto burst from the flank. A soldier charged her from the left. One step, spin, takedown. The fight lasted minutes. She made it feel like seconds. When it ended, the tunnel was smoke and silence. Valen's men were down. Drones fried. Marcus bleeding, but alive. You all right? He asked, coughing. Caroline looked at the comms unit, still buzzing with feedback. I'm done being used, she said. Then she crushed it under her boot. What now? Marcus asked. She picked up her case. Slid the weapons back in. They wanted a weapon, she said. Now they have one. But I choose where it fires. She walked out of the tunnel, the first light of morning breaking across her face. Caroline Reyes was no longer a number. No longer a test subject. No longer running. She wasn't just back. She was coming for them.